Hello everyone, this is Nirmal Mathew, and today I will be exploring how economic status and social capital influence familial dynamics. Factors such as poverty, educational inequality, and lack of access to technology will be examined to determine how exactly social class shapes families and family outcomes. First and foremost, we will be exploring the educational gap between families and its effects on long-term outcomes for children. Children are significantly more likely to obtain a higher level of education if their parents pursue higher learning. As you can see in Figure 1, 38% of children whose parents have bachelor's degrees will complete a 4-year college degree. In comparison to the children of parents who have not yet achieved a bachelor's degree, it is a sizable difference, a mere 15%. This educational gap perpetuates social and economic inequalities across generations. The advantage grows over time. Children from more educated families perform better academically at every stage, leading to better career opportunities and higher wages. Parents with higher education levels often provide more academic support, model achievement-oriented behaviors, and have higher expectations for their children's education. Upper-class parents use resources like income and education to invest in their children's development strategically. Higher education generally leads to higher-paying jobs for parents, more income and resources, and improved outcomes for children. There is an intergenerational transfer of ability and knowledge through both the biological nature and environmental nurturing of the children. Secondly, we will be discussing poverty's impact on educational and life outcomes. Persistent poverty is linked to lower academic achievement, higher dropout rates, and reduced college chances. The effects of poverty are magnified by limited access to enrichment activities, unstable housing, and higher exposure to stress and adversity, which can negatively impact cognitive and emotional development. Cohen references Annette Lareau's research, which reveals how class shapes parenting. Middle-class families often employ a technique called concerted cultivation, organizing structured activities, for example, music lessons and sports, to build specialized skills and better prepare their children for modern life. In contrast, working class and poor parents emphasize natural growth, meant to prioritize unstructured play and foster independence. While this encourages soft people skills, an increasingly valuable trait in the modern age, it leaves children less prepared to navigate formal institutions like schools. A single child can cost well over $215,000 to raise until 18 years of age. This number rises exponentially when factoring in college costs. Economic changes and stagnant income increase financial stress, threatening family stability and social class identity. Children from low-income families often start school behind peers in language and cognitive skill, a gap that widens without intervention. As you can see here in Figure 2, we are describing the Gini index of inequality, a graph that basically indicates the wealth disparity in the nation of America. As close as 1 gets, 1 signifies one family is operating with all the wealth in the nation. As you can see, since 1970, we've been on a steep incline, which means that it has become increasingly more difficult to move upwards in social class, whereas it has also been increasingly easier to decline in social class, which again leads to these outcomes: marital conflict, divorce, financial stress, and threats of family stability. Next, we will explore how the lack of access to technology can impede future opportunities and negatively impact the social mobility of families. Access to technology is increasingly essential for educational success and future economic mobility. The COVID-19 pandemic highlighted some of these technological disparities. Children from low socioeconomic backgrounds were disproportionately affected by school closures and were unable to access online learning or other suitable learning environments. Technology gaps reinforce existing educational inequalities, making it even harder for disadvantaged students to catch up and succeed long-term. Conflicts can arise between immigrant parents and their younger, naturalized children when the children change more rapidly than the parents, a pattern exacerbated by children's access to new technology, including online media, in addition to their quicker language acquisition. Without reliable access to computers and the internet, students fall behind in digital literacy, miss out on homework and enrichment opportunities, and are less prepared for the modern workforce. Marginalized communities are on the wrong side of the digital divide, particularly Black, Latino, and Native American communities, as they often lack reliable internet, hindering completion of assignments and college applications, which is one of the primary reasons their educational outlook suffers long-term. Naturally, all of these factors halt the progress for social mobility for these communities. Finally, I want to take a look at social mobility outside of America, specifically the case of my grandfather. 88 years ago, my grandfather, or Appachan as we called him, was born in a small town in Kerala, India. He was born to a single mother and lived in abject poverty for the entirety of his childhood. In India, especially at the time, only way to move upwards in social capital is via education. So Upachon, at the age of 18, moved away from home and began attending the Rajagiri School of Engineering to study mechanical engineering. He spent 4 long years working away at his degree, eventually culminating in a teary-eyed graduation ceremony in the summer of 1960. Following his graduation, he obtained a job at one of the biggest companies in the state, allowing him more financial freedom as well as a greater allotted time for his other endeavors. His upward social mobility allowed him to secure the permit to build a house for himself and his parents. He spent the better part of 7 years securing permits, earning money to pay for necessities, and building every inch of his new home. When it was finally done, his new title of homeowner alleviated the stress of taking care of himself and his family financially and allowed him to support the new addition to his family, my father. My grandfather's rise in social class would eventually lead to better opportunities for my father, allowing him to attend a good university and eventually move to America. Likewise, this generational cycle continued as my father would eventually pave his own way in America and have me, allowing me to lead a comfortable life, one even more privileged than what my father and grandfather enjoyed before me. Finally, some questions for the audience. First, what personal experiences in your life have showed you how profoundly social class can impact a family? Secondly, what are ways that you believe can help us bridge the digital divide between middle and lower class people? Finally, has it become more difficult to obtain upward social mobility in America? What about internationally? Thank you. Here are my references.